there, my name's Jill Tiny. I'm from Collaboration Global, and this is our podcast, Being Human, Hidden Depths. I'm going to be interviewing some of our members from Collaboration Global, and they're going to be sharing with you their extraordinary lives. Although they would probably believe they're just normal, everyday, average humans, but they are extraordinary. A bit like you and me. We all have our story to tell. We've all been through difficult times, and we've come out the other end having learned an extraordinary amount about ourselves that we can share with others. So I think you'll find lots of things that will resonate with where you've been in your journey as well. I look forward to seeing you on the other side. Hello and welcome back to the podcast, Being Human, Hidden Depths. My name is Jill Tiny. And I am very excited to welcome one of our new members from Collaboration Global, because we have so much to talk about today. Things that it might be a bit controversial. Sometimes I disagree with this young lady, but it's going to be fascinating. So welcome, Nikki. Lovely to have you. Nikki Finucan. Sorry, I do this all the time. How do I say your surname?
Finucan.
Finucan.
Yeah.
Finucan. Right, I'll get there. Do you know where it comes from?
Irish.
I thought so. Finucan. Yes, that makes sense. Welcome, my darling. And what brought you, if I'm trying to remember quickly, how you got the circuitous route to come to Collaboration Global? What was it about Collaboration Global that you thought, interesting, might get more involved?
Well, I came to a guest meeting back in February, I think it was.
Mm-hmm.
I was invited by a friend of mine from another community, and he was like, you have to come and check this out. There's some really fascinating people here, really crazy off the wall conversations that you never expect. And so I thought, that sounds like a place for me. So I moseyed along, and I think it was one Tuesday afternoon, and it was like a horrible rainy day here in the UK. And I met some really fascinating people. And there was a gentleman called Andrew Miller who was talking about legacy, and it's been like a drumbeat in my head.
Wow.
But I also saw Steve speak.
Yes.
And Steve's energy was so out there that I was like, I have to get behind this because this is amazing.
Yeah.
And then, of course, I met Dr. Lizzie, and we had a really fascinating conversation. And we kind of went into the weeds real fast in the breakout room. And I thought, well, this seems like it's the place for me. I like to talk about the real stuff, have real talk, actually connect with people on a much deeper level. And so I was kind of like, this is like a really nice fit for me.
Beautiful. Right time, right place sometimes, isn't it? You just feel that it's the time to go. Different people would be like, oh, I'm sorry, I'm really sorry, I can't join right now. Like, well, when it's the right time, it's fine. You know, when you feel like that's the time to do it, it's a heart conversation rather than a head conversation.
Indeed.
And you managed in your first meeting to meet up, obviously, with Andrew and Steve Cook and Lizzie. What great people to start the ball rolling. But it gives you an indication of the caliber of the people that are sharing their stuff, their genius, their insights, their view on the world. And you fit right in, my darling.
But their vulnerability as well. You know, that I thought was really powerful, Jill. Like, each of them sharing their own vulnerabilities through, you know, the conversation, or, you know, Steve and Andrew happened to be presenting that day, but they shared a lot of their vulnerabilities, a lot of their experiences that made you go, oh, I'm not really that alone after all.
Yeah, absolutely. I love Andrew's story about his business now is called Business Enjoyment. And you know, the story he goes through to kind of work out going, I'm not actually enjoying this, not his business, but he created his current business from the ashes of working in the corporate world. And so many people can resonate with that. And the fact that he's called his business enjoyment, it's like, if I'm not enjoying it, I'm not going to do it. And I 100% behind him. And he said one day, I don't know if he said it on that meeting, that he doesn't like setting goals. He doesn't do goal setting. And I was like, oh, it's not just me then. I thought I was the only one in the world that didn't set goals. I have dreams, I have aspirations, I get stuff done. But this goal setting thing used to make me, you know, have you done your 90-day plan? Do you know what you're doing in the next 90 days? My heart would just go, boom. I can't, you know, but there are other ways to make get traction, to get stuff done without having to have this spreadsheet of you should, you ought to, you need to. It's quite exhausting for me. It just drains me of energy before I've even started. I want to be inspired. I want to be engaged. I want to be encouraged. I want to be excited by what I'm going to do. And then the stuff does get done, but without any effort. Efforting, as Gina would tell us. She's very good at, I don't do efforting. It's not.
And
not
I
my
think, you know, this has been my exploration, right? So it's being in the feminine,
yeah.
right? The masculine is our doing space. And of course, as you just said, the doing gets done, but it's how do we go about doing? Is it an aligned step? Is it an aligned action? So if as you say, you have that vision or that dream, what are all the aligned steps? Now, you don't know all the aligned steps to get to that path, right?
Mhm.
But if you trust yourself and you trust your intuition, the next step appears in front of you always.
Mm. That is so true. That is so true. So let's get down to basics. I mean, this insight that you have about where your next steps come from and your view on life, where did that start from? Because at the moment you talk about on your LinkedIn Change Tribe sessions around the GC index, which is one of the things that you utilize. But can we wish back a few years and kind of go, when did you first find your passion? When did you first find the, hey, I'm really good at this stuff? I think I'm going to do a bit more of that. What was the moment where you, or have you always had it? Some people kind of the age of 4, they go, this is what I'm going to do.
So, when I was little, Barbie and I used to go on all sorts of adventures in our private jet,
Oh,
and
okay. Yeah.
we'd leave Ken at home
Yeah.
in the Barbie mansion. Um,
Love it.
you know, to do his thing. I feel like they wrote the Barbie movie about this little girl that was having all these big dreams, which was me. But so I think I had the dream then that I wanted to do my own thing.
Hmm.
But of course, you know, the conditioning that we all get sent
Yep.
me down the path of being an accountant.
Oh, that sounds so exciting.
Oh, so not. Funnily,
Okay.
Andrew and I were talking about that yesterday. But I so I went and did all the things that I was supposed to do.
Yeah.
Um, you know, I went off to university and I did what I was supposed to do. I got really good jobs. And then one day I decided something's not right. It's
Mm.
not right to be in the office at 6 a.m. It's not right to leave the
Mm.
office at midnight.
Oh my goodness. No.
And I was 20, 26.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, if this is all there is to life, this is shit.
Well, if there's somebody listening now that is experiencing that and is listening to this while they're in the office at 6 a.m. because they've got stuff to do, or they still haven't left the office and it's like midnight, listen in, people, because this is a very important message. It isn't worth it. Absolutely.
It's
So,
really not.
how did you become brave enough to get yourself out of that space? Because presumably everyone was seeing you on this trajectory of being an amazing businesswoman and accountant. And,
Yeah.
it seems like a golden egg, doesn't it, at that point?
And I worked for a really massive organization,
Mm-hmm.
like a really big organization, big global organization. I was still living in Australia at that point.
Right.
And I can even see it now. I used to go to my parents' house for breakfast every Saturday morning. My cat and I would go for breakfast.
Oh,
And anyway, this one Saturday morning, I went to mum and dad's and I had been diagnosed with clinical depression.
oh,
I was on antidepressants and I was really considering driving my car off a freaking bridge
oh.
because I was like, this is not right. And I said to my mum, I feel like I need a change. Now, I had my own house in the inner city suburbs.
At 26.
Uh-huh. I had, you know, the the right friends and people
Mhm.
around me, and my career trajectory was good. Um, but I was miserable.
Yeah.
And, you know, now I know that that depression was a way for my soul to be like, honey, you're in the wrong place,
Mm.
right?
Mm.
Um, and so 3 months later, I got on a plane and came to London.
Wow. was everyone shocked, or did they like, whoa, what's wrong with her? She's got a good job. You have a good job, you keep a good job. I like this thing. Let's delve into this a bit later on as well. The depression was telling you it wasn't right. Yeah, we'll come back to that. But yeah, so you're on a plane, then what?
So I got on a plane and I came to London, and, by then I was absolutely exhausted, but I still had a mortgage to pay. I had rent to pay in London. And within my first 4 days, I had 4 different job offers.
Nice.
So I chose the one that looked the most fun.
Right. Nice.
And so I spent a few years still in my finance kind of roles, but I was contracting, and it was more fun because actually no one expected me to stay after 5. In fact, if I wasn't in the pub at 5:15, people would start to worry.
Well,
So,
that is a British tradition in the city
well,
anyway. Yeah.
indeed. So I started living this really interesting life where I got to travel all the time. I got to actually not really work that hard at all, which was quite a
Mm.
novelty for me.
Wow.
Um, and then, yeah, then in 2008, I took a permanent job because, the financial crisis was in play. And,
Mm.
you know, I was at that intermediate level in those days whereby actually it wasn't too bad to get a job. It was quite easy. And I ended up taking a perm job. And I again thought, okay, you're getting to an age where you've got to settle down a bit. You can't be out every night of the week. Um, Cut it back to at least just 5 nights a week, right?
Be
So,
sensible, yeah.
yeah, be sensible. So I took this perm job, but actually I had the luxury of being able to explore this transformation piece because they were doing a lot of big transformation with their tech stacks. So I started to explore through my finance roles lots of data and insights pieces to help make decisions around what do we want this transformation to look like. And it happened to be sales and marketing oriented transformations.
Mm.
And I got seconded to one of the programs because the person who was going to be the finance lead didn't want to do it. So the CFO came down and said, I'd like you to do it. And the managing director I worked for at the time turned to me and she said, you don't say no when they come and ask you.
Okay. That important, eh?
Yes. So this was a really pivotal moment, right? Because, and by the way, it's only since she passed a few months ago now that I really realized how pivotal it was, her just saying that moment in time,
Mm.
which much like the conversation with my mum that led me to getting on the plane in 3 months, that one pivotal conversation that just switched it all.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so that's where my love of transformation, well, I say that, but Finucan actually means transformation.
No way, does it?
Yes.
Oh, that's brilliant. I love that. When people have the names given to them or that they and they aspire to it and they really, yeah, it's brilliant. I've always had this conversation. I don't know if I've said this to you already, that change, I've been taught over the years that change has the ability to change back, where transformation is like butterfly from the chrysalis. You can't go back to being caterpillar. So transformation is much more empowered and much more, for me, sought after. The idea of change, well, you can always change back. Yeah, it's nothing. Easy come, easy go. But transformation has ripple effect over so many different areas of your life.
Yeah. It's that evolution, really, isn't it? Growing into who you're meant to be.
So where would you say you are now? Does accountancy still run in your veins, or did it never run in your veins at all?
I don't think it ever truly ran in my veins. Didn't mean I wasn't good at it,
Mm-hmm.
but what I do know now, through the lens of the GC index, is why I got burnt out, why I started to lose my hair, why
Wow.
I had lots of physical symptoms that actually, again, was the soul's way of, honey, you're in the wrong place.
Yeah. This is interesting, isn't it? So many people, I think we're taught that, you head down, plow on, get on with it. It will be okay eventually. You'll be able to it'll be fine. It'll be fine. Just get on with it. Do the work. Roll your sleeves up.
Yep.
I guess for me, in my family, it's a generational thing. It's from the war. You don't complain, just get
Yeah.
on with it. There are people out there that are worse off than you, so you should be grateful. Okay. And it's not that easy. But even though our mind is going, we can do this, come on, let's just keep plowing through, your body is going, help. I can't do this anymore. And when you
Yeah.
said earlier that you were taking medication for depression, we don't really think about, well, if I'm depressed, what's the cause? And
Mm.
is it something that I'm holistically being affected by? Is it my environment? Is it my relationships? Is it where I go to work every single day? And then, as you say, your body also reacts in different ways. I remember when I was in a job at the age of 16 for 3 weeks, there was nothing wrong with it. But
Mm.
I lost over a stone in weight. I went down to nearly just over 7 stone in 3 weeks. But okay, I'm only 5'2". It's not the end of the world. But I was so unhappy. I couldn't eat. I was getting
Mm.
off the train to work to be sick before I got there. And it
Yeah.
was it was fear, but also it was my body going, this isn't right for you. Because the next job was not that different, but it had purpose,
Yeah.
where the one I was doing had no purpose whatsoever. And I was like screaming silently to myself, what the hell are you doing here? And also screaming, if this is what work is, I don't want to do it. Thank you very much. What else am I supposed to do?
Yeah.
I get that. So what were the symptoms when you said you were taking medication for depression? Were you aware at that time, it's my job causing it, I've got to get out? Or were you just going, I'm depressed, I'll take tablets, I'll get better?
Very much that. I'll take tablets, it'll get better.
Wow.
But equally at the same time, and this wasn't conscious, right?
Mm-hmm.
So this was actually my divine path. Realistically, it's the divine path, right?
Yeah.
There was the part of me that knew I had to change my circumstances.
Mm.
And now that's a conscious choice, and it ultimately became a conscious choice, but I didn't connect the dots of, you know,
Mm.
and so, leaving the country actually helped because I felt there was this pressure to be a certain way, look a certain way, behave a certain way, these sort of things. And I was like, this is so restrictive. One of my core values is freedom.
Mm.
So
Me too.
if you don't feel free, and by the way, Australia is a Western country,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
I didn't feel free.
It's interesting, isn't it, how the cultures of Australia and the UK, you said you didn't seem to have to work so hard, did 9 till 5. And yet in Australia, it was more like the US work ethic of, go till you drop kind of
Yeah.
thing and prove yourself. Be the first one in and the last one out to show that you are, you mean what you're doing.
Yeah.
Do you think that was the culture of the company, or do you think that's the work ethic of the society in that town or city of Australia? Or do you think that it's just what you drove yourself to do?
I think it's a combination.
Mm.
So, now with all of the other things that I've done since then, I
Mm.
recognize it was my fear of not being good enough, right? The fear driver,
Yeah.
not a joy motivator.
No.
So it was the fear of having to prove myself. I worked in very male dominated industries
Mm.
and often was one of the only woman, if not the only woman.
Yeah.
So there was that. And that's not saying I didn't have male supporters and male advocates and all those sort of things. But I was looked at differently to my male counterparts.
Mm-hmm.
So there was this constant driver to prove that I was good enough. I was worthy to be there. I was worthy to be at the table.
Mm.
When actually, no, I already am good enough. And I am all like, this external validation. It was some of that. And then, of course, layer in some of the other societal things that is probably very American and very Australian, less so London,
Mm.
right? I don't know about like more widespread in England, but certainly in London, that anonymity, no one cared if I wasn't married at 30 something years old. No
Mm,
one cared. They
mm.
just wanted to know where have I been recently? What places have you traveled to recently? Can we talk about that? Okay, great.
Yeah, everyone would have been interested in you because, hey, you got a different accent. Let's find out more about that. And what made you come to the UK? So yeah,
Mm,
it is a different draw, isn't it?
mm,
Um, I love the fact. So we've come along similar paths because I've worked in a male-dominated environment when I worked for local government, and you end up, as you say, driving yourself to be really good at something. It's not difficult. We could be good at things that you don't enjoy.
yeah.
It's like, why would we do that? I mean, I just, now as a grown up, I mean, I'm talking about my first 10 years of employment, sort of 10 from 16 to 26. I
Mm,
worked really hard at things I didn't like. And it didn't cross my mind that it's like, get out, get out, get out. It just, and then I didn't even stop to consider, so what do I like? What would be, so I made the best of it
yeah.
because there was this underlying pressure all the time. Don't be out of work. Oh, unemployed is a dirty word. You can't do that. And also, you have to be employed by someone else. I had no role models to go, oh, he started his own business. Oh, she started her own business. Oh, how do I do that then? Didn't
Mm.
have that in my makeup. Um, so at what point did you get brave enough to go solo and start up the Change Tribe?
Well, so I got brave enough to go solo slightly more than 10 years ago. And again, another life defining
Mm.
moment. I remember sitting on the steps of in Paddington Basin with a friend of mine, still my friend today.
Oh.
Very important person who's been on part of my life and on this trajectory with me. And I remember him saying to me, you you're not loving what you do right now. Why not go out and do your own thing? There's plenty of organizations that will bring you in, and you've got a really unique skill set because not everyone's got the financial background I have, along with this obsession about transformation, which we now know comes from my game changer energy and my surname, so it's in my DNA.
Yeah.
But and he said to me, you know what, there'll always be another job. There'll always be another job.
Mm.
And he was right. And so I sort of took the leap at that point, and so then I took some time out. I went and did some eat, pray, love.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah. Ended up in Bali at the sanctuary, at Bliss Sanctuary, sorry.
Yeah.
Um, where it's amazing there. I recommend everyone should go.
Mm.
Um, and yeah, I traveled around a bit for a while. And then when I came back to the UK, I started looking for work. And I was looking for both finance jobs because, like you just said, you can't be out of work, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, there's the grown up, sensible voice, logical
Yeah.
voice, fear voice that's like, apply for the finance jobs as well. And
Yeah.
then there was the other voice that was like, apply for all the other cool stuff that you want to do,
Yeah.
contract with them, do that sort of thing. And so I, interestingly, again, crossroads moment, I got offered two jobs,
Oh,
one as a finance director and one as a contract for a major European transformation.
wow.
And I rang my friend who I was sitting on the steps in Paddington with, and I
Mm.
said, I don't know what to do. There's
Mm.
a part of me that should be sensible. And he said, you already know what to do.
Yeah. You just wanted
What's
permission
yeah,
to go do it. Yeah.
exactly. And so we obviously know the path that I chose, which led me down the path of lots of different programs and projects with lots of different organizations, consulting with them and helping them embed their transformations. But it really made me want to go deeper into the whole people thing,
Mm.
because you can have all the tech in the world, does you no good if no one uses it.
No. Or also if they use it badly.
Well,
Yeah.
indeed.
Yeah.
So I got obsessed about the people thing.
Yeah, there are going to be so many people that identify with that decision. And a lot of people, it worries me that people are encouraged to chuck in your old job and go for the business you've always wanted to do, because without the fear, you're never going to succeed. And that will give you the fear because you'll need the money. And I'm like, what? They're doing too much stress. It's,
Mhm.
starting your own company. That's a lot to do. And you don't actually know how much there is to do until you're 3 years in and you look back and you went, what? I've done all that. If I'd known that, I don't think I'd have started. There's just
Mhm.
so much to consider, not just the marketing and the sales, but all the other bits and pieces that go with it.
Yeah.
And I think if you are looking to leave your job to start a business, there's always got to be a compromise along the way. You either work for 6 months and save up as much as you possibly can so you've got a cushion, or you go part-time, or you even take a job that you don't have to think too much. So you can be thinking about your business while you're earning enough to survive in order for your business to start growing. It doesn't have to be an all or nothing kind of thing. And you were lucky that you had two options. One was go back to your old life, in effect, in the finance industry, and one was to start your new.
Yeah.
Why would you go backwards? So well done you for being brave enough to take that choice. But also you checked in with somebody else, and that's the people personality, isn't it? It's like, I kind of know what I'm going to do, but I'm just going to double check it. I'm going to sound check it with other people that I respect and I love. And I've got the same message back. So I'm okay. I can do this. I'm going to do this. You would have done it anyway.
Yeah.
But it's just knowing that somebody else has said, go on, you can do it. And it gave you that extra 2 inches tall feeling of like, yeah, I can do that. I can. So you weren't looking um, walking blindly forward and not having any idea around it. You were being the sensible grown up, but at the same time, you'd had that space out to think. I bet that time in Bali must have been, you got to understand what life, and in particular your life, was
Mm.
truly about. Now, you've mentioned one or two times the GC index, which most people will be going, what now? Sorry,
Mm.
don't know what that is. Some people, well, fortunately, have already done their GC profiling. But can you explain, one, how you got into it, and two, why is that one? Why were you attracted to that one and not one of the other personality profiling tools that are available?
So in 2021, after I'd finished a big global program with a client,
Mm-hmm.
which is where the Change Tribe was born, actually, I happened to answer a LinkedIn message, which I rarely ever do, by the way. And I
Mm-hmm.
thought to myself, I'm going to answer this message because I don't have anything set up yet. And I was going to take some time out anyway. And I booked like a course that I wanted to do and these other things. And I met a gentleman called Mark Savage, who is a GC partner. And he showed me the GC index. And because the GC index is all about energy for impact, one, I just done my Reiki Master One course. So I'm all about energy anyway, and have been for many years, despite my more traditional and corporate background.
Yeah.
Um, and I actually use this concept of energy quite a lot, right? And a bit like coming to the Koglo meeting that I came to,
Yeah.
the energy felt like it was a right fit for me,
Yeah.
right?
Sure.
The energetic container, and I know you were ill that day, but Gina and Alan held the energetic container
Mm.
of the session. So I have a bit of an obsession with energy,
Mm.
right? And I have lots of different healers that I work with for me around energy as well.
Yes.
And so it resonated from the energy perspective, but it just made so much sense because it's not a personality test. A personality test takes into account our limiting beliefs
Mm.
because our limiting beliefs drive our behaviors, right? Our belief systems drive our behaviors.
Yeah.
This doesn't. This is where are you most energized to take action from
Yeah.
or to look at something from, which has nothing to do with actually your personality. And it's not like it's a way to unravel your limiting beliefs. And I use it like that quite a lot, actually. I
Mm.
can understand very quickly where I'm coming from and how do I need to adjust myself.
Yeah.
But that's how I uncovered it. And interestingly, and this tells you, I would classify myself as very self-aware. But I'd been so well conditioned from all the work that I'd done to this point that I thought I was a strategist implementer because I was creating these transformation strategies
Mhm.
and I was implementing them. Again, no wonder I kept burning out, right?
Oh, yeah.
I'm actually a game changer polisher. So I sit on the other side, and it's probably no surprise that side is also highly obsessive, which I also am. Um,
Mm.
so I was really surprised because when Mark said to me, okay, before I show you your profile, what do you think you are? And I'm like, no, I'm obviously a strategist implemented. This is a no-brainer. And he's unveiled it. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm really that?
Or did you just think to yourself, no, that GC index is not very good, is it? Because obviously I'm not, I'm something else. This is what a lot of people do, is when they go, oh yes, but I can make sure that I'm this or I'm this or I'm this by answering the questions in a different way. What I love about this is it's really hard to kind of gamify it, and change it.
Exactly. You can't gamify it because this is, again, back to the energy.
Mm.
And, it very quickly. So when Mark showed it to me and we went through the profile, because you do a full profile review, it's not like other ones where you just go, here's your paper, off you
Yeah,
go.
off you go. Yeah.
It's very much you talk it through. And, Mark had already had some time with me where he was digging into stuff about me, really. So he could then link it to my profile. And I have, when something's not right for me because I don't have any ideas, but it's almost like a constant stream of ideas coming
Yeah.
through. Even more so now, the more I've opened up and become much more open-hearted and much more emotionally aware of
Mm.
myself and my physical body. And so for me, it's like a tsunami quite often,
Wow.
like coming through with ideas. And my husband jokes, I cannot walk into or take 5 steps without wanting to transform everything in my path. He's like, honey, this is not a time for transformation.
Yeah, that's not annoying at all, Nikki, really. I
No.
can imagine him going, not again.
By the way, he is the same profile as me.
No,
Yeah.
okay.
Some slight variances in like our lower proclivities, but actually his main proclivities are the same as mine.
So it's not opposites attract then. It's yeah, like goes to like. That's it. So
Mm.
was he aware of this before you two met? How long have you been together?
We have been together 12 years now.
Oh, okay. So well before this was all. So he's been a big supporter of you in your own personal transformation then.
Yes.
That's lovely. Cool.
Yes.
So now you are agent, practitioner, I don't know, instructor,
Partner,
trainer,
partner, practitioner.
partner.
Yeah.
So who are the people that come to you that you go, you really need to take this? I mean, do you automatically give that to everyone you work with so that you've got an understanding of where their energy is coming from?
So it's the foundation for all of our programs and all of the work we do
Right.
because, I'm I'm really about being connected to yourself. And this is a data point that grounds you. And like I said, when I was going through my profile with Mark, this relief and this flow of confidence that like came through me.
Wow.
Oh my God, I am this person, but holy cow, I haven't been completely operating like that, right? So this is where this concept, so I already was becoming really connected to this idea of joyful work. But now here's this data point that
Mm.
points me in the direction. If I integrate this well, actually, I can uncover my joyful work, right? And back to like, I've lost my hair. I used to get
Ah,
weird rashes on my face.
wow.
Strange things would happen to my body, which is why I have all these energy healers, by the way, because
Okay.
no doctor could explain any of it. And
Mm.
now, the doctor version or the medical version will be stress.
Yeah.
But I go back to actually, I'm not aligned to what I'm here to do. I'm not
Mm.
aligned to my soul work. I'm not aligned to just me as a human, even.
Yeah, I get that. I get that whole space. When it's right, it's right. And it's like being a square peg in a square hole. You know where you're supposed to be and what you're supposed to do. I came across that in a practical sense when I first found out about, oh, Jill, you should be a business coach. And I'm like, who me? Really? What? And he said, well, you're already doing it. Why don't you go and get paid for it? And this was my business coach from my original company telling me that I needed to be a business coach. And I was like, oh, okay. So I went on a course like you do to learn how to be a business coach. And then I sat down for the best part of a year over so many weekends learning from this woman who I'm like, so have you actually got a business? You're running a business already? No, but this is what do you want to sit down? I can tell people what it's really like because I've been running a business for 5 years. And you just kind of realize that when it's right, it's right.
Yeah.
And I've never been happier since I learned that that was me in a square peg in a square hole. And I'm like, why don't they teach people this at school? I wouldn't have wasted those 10 years in local government had I not known this magic that I could feel when everything's right. And a friend of mine talking about energy, she lost something like 4 stone, 5 stone when she aligned her energy to her relationships. And she realized that her husband of X amount of years wasn't aligned with her. So she cut off the dead weight and she lost all this weight. I didn't go on a diet. I didn't change anything. I just didn't need to have the comfort that I'd been taking from food and lots of other medical conditions as well. So aligning your energy and understanding the whys and the hows and the whats, and to have a practical guide like the GC index to kind of guide you in that space. I'd never seen it quite like that before. It's really interesting how you've pointed that out, because normally these kind of business, as I said before, personality profiles and communication styles, whatever you want to call it, I've been a bit anti, because I see it as well, you've put a label on someone and they'll live up to it or they'll live down to it, however you take it. So my question for you now is, how often do you retake the GC index? And has it changed, or is that what you believe you're always going to be like?
So interestingly, I've been debating taking it again because we're now 3 years on since I first took it. But it's because I'm curious to know whether my playmaker has grown or changed.
Right.
But I certainly know for myself that actually my core proclivities are very clear and they're so high. So it's not like I was middle ground. They're really high. They're like 9 out of 10 game changer, 8 out of 10 polisher. So I don't think it will shift massively, but where might shift slightly is my playmaker, because I've been building some of those skills maybe more. Because energy for impact, your impact comes from your GC energy plus the skills you build. So, and I am quite passionate about the people part, but that can also come from my game changer lens or my polisher lens, that I want to make things better for people, right? Because the polisher is continuous improvement, which is why I think I'm so excited for, my own continuous improvement, my own learning, my own growth.
So you're able to, I say, retake it, and the idea is that you as you're learning about yourself more and more, you can see the areas that you can focus on. And does it come to the stage where they're all kind of equal, or is it always going to be balanced in one?
I think it'll always, and by the way, there are some people who are quite balanced, and usually they've got a big playmaker.
Right.
So they're able to dip into each of the other energies, because the beautiful skills that they hold is the ability to see others' capabilities.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, for someone like me who is very, on one side, I don't think it will shift drastically, because my natural space will always be to have the transformational ideas, look at all the transformational possibilities, quickly see where things can be better. So I think that's always for me going to be quite natural. It's unnatural for me to go the other way. It puts too much stress on me. And back to what you were saying about that energy alignment, that's it in a nutshell.
Although that statement on its own, it's my natural space to be this or that. um, as you evolve over time, it might not be your natural space anymore, and you might actually evolve into something else. Because it's really interesting, isn't it, how the human psyche, the human personality, not the personality, the human being, the being of who we are, is influenced, we can't help it, by who we're surrounded with, the location, the society that we're part of, the community that we're part of. So there are ways that you kind of morph without even realizing it. So I think when you're saying it's 3 years since you've done that, the GC test, is it, what do you call it, a test?
Questionnaire.
Questionnaire, okay, yeah, whatever. Some people are a bit anti-test, aren't they? Questionnaire sounds a bit more interesting. It's really fascinating how it kind of can morph and does move into other areas. Also, I think for me, the power in this kind of thing is not always about, oh yes, I know who I am now, or yes, I know my limiting beliefs, or I know my weaknesses and my strengths, but it's helping you to understand other people as well. Once you know what their profile is, it's like, okay, now not taking it as read, because they can move into different spaces, but that beauty of being able to, in a collaboration, for example, which is obviously what I'm really passionate about, when they start to go wrong, it's when everyone kind of closes off, and it's like, well, this is me, and this is who I am, and this is what I do, and this is my thing, and I'm really good at that. But the minute you open up and say, I've had a bad day, or yes, I can do that, but that's not my favorite thing to do. But, you know, in this instance, I will do that because I know the group need me to do that. It's having that open authenticity amongst a group of people. So to have a tool like this, it kind of shorthands it, doesn't it? It gets people into that space of understanding each other so much quicker in order to make the whole program and the whole project work more smoothly.
It also it removes the egos, because you don't have to prove anything, because actually you've got a really clear little lane and that you can drive in, and you can openly, as you say, openly share, this is the lane you like to drive in, it's your favorite. And you're looking at whatever the problem statement is, or the situation that you're collaborating on, through that lens. And as you say, everyone else knows, oh yeah, you are looking at it like that. That's why you're saying that. Hang on. Okay, let me step back. Now I can understand better.
Yeah.
And I can lean into you more, because that's not my favorite. So I'll lean into you. You lean into me to do the other thing that's not your favorite.
And we're all happy.
And we're golden.
And you know what, you for people that don't know, Nikki has a LinkedIn group that she has called the Change Tribe, on a weekly basis, and today it was on, and I was party to that. I kind of came along and had a listen, and ironically, you and the three people that you had there, one was a kind of people person, one was a detail driven person, one was, hey, let's just have some fun, and it was really interesting to see the dynamic of a problem that was presented to them, and they all had the solution, but they were different solutions for their space where they were hanging out from. And they were aware that this is what I would do, but you know, other people might do it slightly differently. So there's more than one way to skin a cat. I'm interested to find out, who are the sort of people that need this stuff more? Is it the SME world, or is it the corporate world that you kind of go into and go, quick, take this questionnaire so I can find out what's going on?
So we would say, I mean, this works for all organizations, and actually for all people. And so we at the Change Tribe, we do the deep work with it.
Right.
So it's not just, so here's your profile, fill your boots. We actually work to integrate it so that actually it flows through your organization. So whether you're an SME or whether you're a large corporate, actually it can help having this data point. And particularly exactly what you were talking about, listening into our session today, where there was 4 of us, all different core energies, by the way. So we actually made a good view of the whole GC. And it helps people understand quickly, and it helps you understand Are you going to achieve your mission as a team or an organization because you've got the right people with the right energy for impact in the right place at the right time?
Mm. So when people know that and they've got those results and they understand that energy, what is the one thing that trips them up after that?
So that's why this integration part is so important. So many people will have heard of DISC or Insights or Myers-Briggs or,
Mhm.
pick one, right?
Yeah.
Now, the GC index is not a personality profile. It's very different to that. But the GC index, if you integrate it, you're naturally going to be much more productive, have a higher well-being, um, and much more collaborative because you've got this language framework and data point to help you on your whatever the journey is for your team or for your organization.
Mm.
And you start to build out your skill sets further because that's the other thing, energy for impact. The impact comes from understanding your profile and your skill stack. And it starts to show you what skills might you want to build to actually manage lower energy areas.
Mm.
Or if you take my polisher from a fear motivator, you start to see my behaviors playing through. And this is where you get to have an honest conversation and go, hey, Nick, I'm noticing this is what's playing out for you right now. What's going on? Because this is not how you want to operate. It's not how you normally operate. Can we
Mm.
talk about that? So actually, you open your communication lines in that it's non-violent communication, really, because someone's noticed you and seen you properly, right? Cared enough to step forward and go, hey, I know this isn't really you. It's not how you like to roll. What's going on?
Yeah. And how many organizations can say that anyone has ever said that to them before? Um, because that is so rare for people to actually acknowledge that this is what I get from you normally, and today I'm not getting this, and there's what's the reason, and not what's the reason as in finger pointing. Come on now, what's going on? It's
Yeah.
it's the care and concern.
Mhm.
And we talk a lot about love and collaboration global being the foundation, but basically as human beings, we need to kind of be that caring, compassionate person. If you want to get stuff done, it's so much quicker to spend a few moments or half an hour, some time
Yeah.
finding that compassion and that humility and that care in order when you see these things are not going according to plan. It's having those moments of asking the question, how are you doing?
Yeah.
How are you really doing? And not letting it be brushed apart. Oh, I'm fine.
Mm.
You said it 3 times. That sounds like you're trying to convince me. Are you
Yeah.
really fine?
Who are you trying to convince? Are you trying to convince yourself as well?
Yeah,
Right?
yeah.
Because
And it's hard, isn't it, to admit that you're having a bad day or a bad week or month. It's like, you know exactly what it feels like, having been in that situation in your work as an accountant, to know that you were physically, emotionally, mentally unwell
yeah.
because of not feeling fine. But how many people came up to you in that workplace and said, how you doing?
Yeah. And very few,
Mm,
very few cared about the answer. Very few even asked. And, you know, it, um, it makes for a lonely place.
yeah.
And, Lizzie from Collaboration Global talks about, and she's doing a session actually on Connected People Change, the live show, about fitting in versus belonging.
Yes.
And,
Beautiful comparison.
when she wrote about it, it was this penny dropping moment for me. I felt like I didn't even belong in my own country of origin,
Yeah. Wow.
right? And how many people in organizations don't feel like they belong when actually we all have the opportunity to be potent and impactful in the work that we do if we're in the right job with the right skill stack and it's aligned to what we're here to do and be impactful in.
Mm. I think you also have to feed in that the training and the understanding around this whole thing. is creating a culture within that organization. Because if you've had that training done, but the culture is still top down toxic, you're still not going to change the working environment just because you have this knowledge about who you are. What's going to happen? Mass exodus. Everyone's going to be, I now know this about me and I still don't feel happy, so I'm going to go somewhere else and find out where I can be happy.
Yeah.
Understandably. So it's in people's interest, as in those in the hierarchy and the top dogs, to kind of work out what their own GC index is, so that they can then support and help others. It's probably the best place to start, isn't it? If you've got issues with your managers or your directors, and there's poor communication and there's lots of health sickness going on, and there are projects not being completed and nobody really knows why, then start with yourself and work down from there and see what's causing it. And it's not necessarily the person at the top's fault all the time.
No.
But you know what? There will be an indication coming from them that allows toxic environment to continue further down the line. And that's where Lizzie's conversation around belonging or fitting in comes in. People want to be loyal. People want to be proud of where they work. People want to show off about where they work. If they don't feel they belong and they just try desperately to fit in, they're exhausted every single day.
Well, exactly, because that fitting in, we're being contortionists, right? So back to me being an accountant, I was contorting myself into these fabulous suits with kick-ass heels. They were glorious, by the way. And yet it didn't fit properly. And I think that's, we need to be conscious of that for ourselves, because we have choices always. I know sometimes we feel like we don't, but we need to make conscious choices.
Yeah. Even not making a choice is
still making a choice.
Yeah, absolutely. So we keep saying GC index. I've forgotten. What does GC stand for?
Game Changer Index.
Thank you. Game Changer Index. If somebody was interested in finding out what their Game Changer Index was, where would they be able to go and find out?
So they can come and talk to us at the Change Tribe. So www.thechangetribe.org, or you can find me on LinkedIn and we can talk. But honestly, pardon the pun, but it was the game-changing moment.
Yeah.
After all the work I've been doing, and particularly the last program I did, that it was the data point that made me understand why the global program team that we created was so powerful. Now, we didn't have the data at that point, but it was an organization that was more than 100 years old. So you can imagine how traditional, right?
Yeah.
Traditional industry. And every country we went to, the amount of people that would come and see me or email me and be like, how do I get on your program?
Right.
Because we made work fun. Not saying we didn't work hard, not saying we didn't do amazing things, but the energy that team created was so impactful to everyone around. So it was a microculture that everyone wanted to be part of. So anyone in an organization has the opportunity to take a choice to change. So you're right. A lot comes from the top down, but you have a choice to make your own space too.
Absolutely. I mean, that just reminds me of Collaboration Global as a community, is that we want to change the world. We want to teach the world to collaborate. We want to create solutions that are already out there that, will make a difference to so many different people. But we can't necessarily change the way the government is working at the moment, or the way local government is even working, and the politics is just decidedly broken in so many different places. But we can still operate within our community in the way we would like everybody else to operate.
Yes.
And then we are being the example, the change that people want to see, as Mr. Gandhi would have told us. And it's having any tool at your disposal that's going to give an impact, because sometimes doing some work on yourself, which everybody's talking about, it doesn't necessarily mean traveling several thousand miles to Bali, or even reading a gazillion books like a lot of us have done. Sometimes it's as simple as just opening up those questions and just taking a good, honest look at yourself and understanding. For me, what I started doing is, if you can't work out what makes you happy, and we all know what we're good at, that's easy. It doesn't mean to
Yeah.
say you like doing what you're good at, but if you
Yeah.
can't work out what makes you happy, I usually find if you work out what makes you really angry, and that's very easy to do, the opposite is what you're good at. So you can then take a step towards stopping the things that make you angry, and that will give you some life towards the things that make you really happy. And for most people, ultimately, what makes them happy is helping other people
Yeah.
in whatever way, shape, or form that might be, in a different way. Listen, Nikki, it's been a joy having this conversation. I'm fascinated by the GC index, but also your journey to get here. I mean, the fact that it's like, I'm not happy in this job, I'm going to go to England. And you kind of, to me, that's the bravest thing any person can do, is to leave one country to go to another. And we've got so many people in our community that have done just that. It's this strength of inner strength of who they are, means that they're going to be able to help so many people. And I know that you do in not just the GC index, but also in how you coach people and support them. So you are passionate because you've been through some of that journey yourself. We don't have to have experienced everything in order to help people, but you certainly have a beautiful story there. And I wish you every success with it. And I'm so proud that you are part of our community, because I know you're going to help many of our members as well. So if people wanted to come on the Change Tribe LinkedIn session, how is the easiest way for them to get hold of you?
So if you want to come and check us out at the live show each week, you can find us on Crowdcast at the Change Tribe, or we are on Spotify, Connected People Change. We have a YouTube channel, The Change Tribe, and soon we'll have everything out on Apple Podcast as well.
Lovely.
And if you do connect with us on LinkedIn, you will find us advertising the shows every week. And we've got some great guests coming up, along with David and I talking about all of the deep stuff all of the time. But we've got some collaboration global people coming along as well.
Oh,
Got some
awesome.
guests.
Lovely. Well, at the very first beginning, then I would suggest people go to LinkedIn and look for Nikki, Nikki Finucan, Finucan. And what did that mean again?
Transformation.
Transformation. How wonderful. And then once you've connected with her, send her a little message and she'll send you all the details as well, I'm sure. Thank you so much, Nikki. It's been an absolute joy. I'm glad you're in the UK. It's not so far away. See in the background, if you're listening to us in the background, Nikki's got
Yes.
the red London buses and the red London telephone box behind her. Makes me feel at
Yes.
home. That's my hometown. And if you want to meet her, she's obviously going to be at the Collaboration Global guest sessions, which is always the last Tuesday of the month. Find us on collaborationglobal.org, and you can book yourself a space there, or find us on Eventbrite as well. So thank you again, and I look forward to part 2 at some point in the future.
Yay. Thank you for having me. I've really enjoyed our conversation.
Yeah, me too. You're welcome. Take care.